Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Epperson, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Alabama All-State Middle School Lyrical Etude. So let's jump in, and the first thing I want to say is the first thing I see when I look at this piece is that there are three big sections. In the first section, which is the beginning to the Pumoso, I immediately see a lot of dynamic contrast, a lot of crescendos, decrescendos, and a lot of different dynamics in there. So as you'll notice in the first few measures, there's a lot of growing and coming back down, and then all of a sudden you have a forte. You want to make sure that you make a difference there. You want to make sure that you can make those dynamic changes impactful. So maybe even over-exaggerate them a little bit, and even going out throughout this whole section, make them very impactful and very contrasting. Okay, in the Pumoso section, you want to give it a bit more motion. The rhythms kind of help you do this because there's a few more of them and they're a little bit more complex than the first section. There's also a few more notes that you want to pay attention to. In this section, to get a strong foundation in rhythm, I suggest that you sit down next to a metronome, slow it down a few clicks, and make sure you have those rhythms to the beat. Make sure you understand the rhythms and how they correlate with the beat. Another thing I'm noticing in this section is the jumps between intervals. There are a few interval jumps that are kind of odd, so a good tip for this is to just play those intervals over and over again to make sure that you can hear those jumps. If you can hear those jumps, you can nail those notes. That way you won't overshoot it or undershoot a note. So moving on to the final section, it's very similar to the first section. You want to do a lot with your dynamic contrasts, and you want to make sure every dynamic change is impactful. The 16th notes, I suggest you practice alongside a metronome. Slow them down just a bit. That way you can make sure you're getting the notes under your fingers and that you are playing with good note accuracy. When you're going into the 3/8 section, the 8th note gets the beat, so make sure that the 8th note stays the same when you're playing through that section. And then it goes back to 4/8, 4/4, in the final few measures, and the 8th note still gets the beat, so make sure you understand the difference between that. Alright, these are just a few tips, and I hope that you find them useful. Thanks for listening.